Peace and blessings. This is your brother Gabar coming to you live from the Boogie Down Bronx. This is IAMFITPodcast. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, saying hello. Shout out brothers and sisters out there. Appreciate you. Love you. And I want to thank you for joining me. You could have been anywhere else, but you're here with me, so I appreciate you. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Tell your friends, tell your family. But you should hire your kids. Hire your kids, yeah. I have a theory. There's a theory that says that tough times brings hard men. Hard men make hard time easy. Easy time make hard men soft. Yes, I hope you guys got what I said. So hard time makes hard men. Easy time makes hard men easy or soft. And I'm saying this because this conversation is I want to have brothers from Europe, specifically of the European ethnic background. I have a theory. Is Europe has become so free of crime, because when you look at the top 10, top 20, top 30 safest countries in the world, Europe is going to be like top 10, top 15. You know, you got Japan, Asia, you know, your other countries. And some parts of Africa too, but a lot of European countries. So, within sociology or sociology, sociology, I think I'm pronouncing that word correctly, excuse me. is understood when you have low crime in a country, it's a sign of that country being, wealthy, prosperous, civilized, evolved, modern technology, right? That Europe is in top of the chart in regards of a country being advanced. And advancement, technology makes hard men soft. And my European brothers, I want to talk to you today. Do you think that Europe, since low crime, I think the average work in the day is like 35 hours a week, is it's extremely not threatened country. It's one, brother Andrew Tate, I think he's in Ukraine. He says the safest country that he's ever lived in. So European, kudos to you guys, can produce safe countries. I gotta say that's a white man thing. That's a European thing. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a racist person. I don't know. It's unconscious. But I Europeans can produce safe countries. I'm not saying that there's not safe countries in South America. I'm not saying there's no safe countries in Africa or in the Middle East or in Asia. But according to the statistics, Europe is the safe. Europe is usually the safest countries. So you see the title. What's going on in Europe, right? What's going on? Are you fit to talk about what's going on in Europe? Because in Europe, which is the safest, according to society and stacks, are the safest countries. Less arrests, less murder, right? Robbery. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen in Europe. Okay, it could. You can get killed anywhere, but statistically speaking, Europe is one of the safest. Is it the weather? Is it the people? Is it the culture? We could talk about that later. I just want to establish it is. So if that country is one of the safest, and I'm gonna present this article right here. Shout out to Wise Old Man for sending this article. Or the PJ in the house. He's probably watching. And I was planning to go into today's lesson, or today's conversation lesson. I'm still got GOC in my mind. Sorry. I forgot this. In my past. And yes, I still get emails I get still email that people are still just finding out that I left GOCC. So I just wanted to use for the record. Yes, I'm no longer part of the Gathering Christ Church. I still respect those brothers and love those brothers. And I want to leave it there. I'm no longer with the church and so forth, so on. And if you're with the church, I can no longer counsel you as an elder because I resigned from that position. If you're a member of the church, you should reach out to members of the church or the elders within the Gathering Christ Church. I appreciate you. Anybody else, you can call me. But I wanted to, go back to this article here. That was a side note about the email, because I get time to time an email here or there. So sometimes people are watching me, not knowing that I left. So that's why I wanted to clear that up. All right. So this article, I believe the country is Ireland. It says Christian teacher jailed after refusing to use gender-neutral pronouns is told he will remain. Oh, there you go. Wise old man, shut up, shut out, shut out, shut out, shut up, shut up, shut up. It says he should remain behind bars for Christmas after telling court he should not be punished for his views on transgenderism. I'm going to put this article on the chat. You guys could read it on your own. It goes into great detail. But this is going on in Europe, which is supposed to be the safest countries. This is my theory. Is it possible, guys, that part of this theory of hard times make hard men, but easy time makes hard men soft, and Europe is the best representation of that? Because we all see the legends or hear the legends of the ancient Europeans. These are the descendants of the Romans? The Roman legion, you hear all the barbaric, the Vikings, right? The vanguards, right? The Irish. What happened to Europe and Europeans? Is it a thing that is a scenario that they're running out of crime or they're running out of something to make illegal because they are so bored without crime? I know I'm going crazy. I'm just follow me here. Is it like, okay, if you create a community that is real safe and the people are going to start looking at things, real safe, people become real safe, real soft, calm, no war, no fighting, everybody gets along. Is that produce now for that population to view what they view wrong? It becomes from a soft perspective, like defending transgender. Because there's no other war to fight. There's nothing, because it's safe. Drugs is low. Yeah, murder is low. So let's defend the transgender because hard time makes soft men hard. So the opposite, that soft times make hard men soft. If you're from Europe and you're a European, call me. 646-450-2013. I want to talk about it. Because this is arresting somebody for not calling someone on the gender that they were born, they recognized versus they were born because religious. Like, in other words, someone wants to be recognized as a he, but he was born as she. And I cannot call you he because I see a she in my religious beliefs states that I got to call you a she. People are getting arrested for that in Europe. What's going on with Europeans? And I got to say this. Europe is the birthplace of Christianity. Europe is the birthplace of Christianity. However, I know my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. I'm specifically addressing the Roman Catholics, Protestants, Lutherans, etc., etc. That Christianity was shaped and developed in Europe. Now we follow a first century Christianity. The Christian disciplines, or the word discipline and disciple means the same thing. We became disciples of Christ, what he said, and what his disciples said and established in the church. We don't add or take away. We do, period. So there's a difference between what we follow and modern day Christianity. But modern day Christianity was born in Europe. So, and I want to be specific. What's going on in Western Europe? Because Eastern Europe, the Eastern Orthodox Church, which is many of the Russian citizenship, many of them worship from the Eastern Orthodox Church. Very conservative. And regardless of their way they worship, they do worship on the first day of the week. They do worship Christmas or celebrate Christmas. They do it a little different from Americans, but they do. I think certain Eastern Orthodox Church, or not the Eastern, the Oriental churches celebrate, or maybe the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrate Christmas on January 6th, I believe. They have a different date for that situation. So I'm not talking about doctrine. Because make no mistake about it, European converted to Christianity, not only converted to Christianity, adopted the religion and took over the religion. Real simple. Christ and the disciples were Judeans, and now we have a Roman Catholic Pope, European from Europe. And there's been an Italian, I think this is the first Spaniard, I believe. Same thing, but you guys get the point. Pope in history, or for a long time. It's been Italians, Romans. So Romans who converted into this Christianity created up their own version. Hey, fine. I'm not knocking your hustle. However, though, when you look into the Eastern Orthodox Roman Church, or the Eastern, Eastern Orthodox Church, they're very conservative. But what's going to the Europeans in the West? What's going on with the Europeans in the West? Let me just tell Trent I'm on the show. Hold on. Doing the show. Okay. All right. So let's read this article. Again, shout out to Brother Old Wise Man for sending me the article. Okay. So let's read this. Christian teacher jailed after refusing to use transgender neutral pronouns is told he will remain behind bars for Christmas. People are going to jail for this, folks, in Europe. And that's what I'm saying. I think Europe has advanced in the theory of soft time makes hard men soft, and soft men make hard men, make times soft times hard. So maybe there has to be a cycle. Because stuff that it was not, and this is a funny thing. This is the ironic thing. This is the thing that would twist your mind. Modern day Christianity was developed in Europe. It was shipped to America, and what's holding America for becoming Europe is the Christian community. And what is uniting the Christian communities in America is this forcation of transgender acknowledgement, and you must call them what they want. In Europe, you could get arrested. You guys, matter of fact, let me just show you some more stuff here. I got more stuff for you guys. I got more stuff here. Let me get more stuff here for you guys, because you need to see this. This is what's going on in Europe.
Closing arguments continue in the trial against a Finnish member of parliament. She is facing a hate speech charge after she quoted scripture from the Bible on homosexuality. Our chief religion correspondent Lauren Green has more, and freedom of speech in Finland has a different definition than it has here.
Well, absolutely, absolutely, John. Well, you know, the Bible is the biggest selling book of all time, translated in part or whole into more than 3,000 languages. Päivi Räsänen, a Finnish member of parliament, says her trial is really about whether or not it is a crime to believe in what the Bible says about gender and marriage. And those closing arguments this week in Helsinki at Räsänen's trial, she's charged with 3 counts of hate speech. And it started in 2019 when Räsänen tweeted to her Lutheran minister questioning the church's support of the gay pride parade, quoting verses.
So it's not that we don't have still Christian people in Finland and the other one was Ireland, but what's going on with the government of these countries? What is going on with the government of these countries? Why they're flipping out this way? Why they're treating their people in such horrible manner? Hold on, let me
We're excited to share some.
Okay, my bad. Let me just go back to the original. Here we go. Let's let it play. Let's let it play.
Against a Finnish member of parliament, she is facing a hate speech charge after she quoted scripture from the Bible on homosexuality. Our chief religion correspondent Lauren Green has more, and freedom of speech in Finland has a different definition than it has here.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, John. Well, you know, the Bible is the biggest selling book of all time, translated in part or whole into more than 3,000 languages. Päivi Räsänen, a Finnish member of parliament, says her trial is really about whether or not it is a crime to believe in what the Bible says about gender and marriage. And those closing arguments this week in Helsinki at Räsänen's trial, she's charged with 3 counts of hate speech. And it started in 2019 when Räsänen tweeted to her Lutheran minister questioning the church's support of the gay pride parade, quoting verses from the Bible as her reasoning. The exchange ignited a national debate where all of Räsänen's writings and interviews were scrutinized. She was even questioned by police for 13 hours. And the publisher of a pamphlet written by Räsänen is also on trial, and the writing's title quotes the Bible. A separate hearing today determines if it should be banned.
If the court decides to ban my pamphlet, then the Bible should also be banned because they have the same message. And that's why I think that this is very dangerous.
The case has attracted international attention. American pastor Andrew Brunson, who was held in a Turkish prison for 2 years for his Christian faith, traveled to Finland to support Räsänen. And we reached out to the prosecuting attorney, who declined to comment on the case. And a ruling is expected March 30th, and Räsänen is facing a 2-year sentence plus a fine. John?
Lauren Green for us with the latest on that from New York. Lauren, thank you. Check out Lauren Green's Lighthouse Faith podcast on foxnewspodcast.com for an extended interview with that Finnish lawmaker, Päivi Räsänen.
All right. And there you have it.
Closing arguments continue in the trial against a Finnish member of parliament. She is facing a hate
My apologies. So yeah, so there you have it. That's what's going on in Europe. And what's going on with Europeans? What's going on with you brothers over there and sisters? What's going on? It's like the ironic thing that is that regardless what you believe about Christianity, as is in regards of Sunday worship and so forth, so on, and the Christmas and the Easter, which is not found in the Bible, Christians, you should look into that, because you look at early writings of the first century church, they were keeping Passover, Sabbath, and keeping what you consider the Israelite laws, with some minor changes like no sacrifice, and of course all the judgment laws were done away with. But they even kept dietary laws. I got history on that as well. If you want to talk to me, you send me an email at IAMFITPodcast@gmail.com. I can show you some information on that. However, Europe is getting weird. As a Christian, I feel comfortable as a Christian in America, but I'm feeling less comfortable every day. Like, is that going to come over here? Is that spirit going to come over here? And what goes through my mind is if America is Babylon and Europe and those that are atheists or not Bible believers, many within the Hebrew Israelite community, which I'm a part of, believe that America is spiritually Babylon. And you may have some Christians that still believe that, or may believe that, or other churches. But within the Israel community, for the most part, we believe that America is Babylon, and it's going to be destroyed, and is the mother of all harlots. But what I want to have a conversation about is that Europe is advancing in regards of being what I would consider extremists on the left. I cringe when I see that, just as much when I cringe when you hear someone in the news or in the Middle East when there was a woman without a head cover, or there was some protest. I don't know if you guys heard about it. There was a lady in Iran, or I forgot, one of these Middle Eastern country. You guys probably know. You could put the information on the comic board there. She got arrested and then died in the hands of authorities because, according to reporters, they beat her to death because she didn't have a hair wrap the way to their satisfaction. There's still dressing codes in the Middle East. And when I hear things like that, I cringe. That's extreme Iran. Yeah, that's it, Iran. That's the extreme right. But when I read that they are arresting Christians in Europe, one is facing, I think, 3 years for not saying to a child, you're not a girl. You were born a boy. I could maybe not understand, but they will have a right they shouldn't have a right, because that's the whole Constitution. But I don't know what Constitution they have in Europe. I'm speaking as an American because, freedom of speech and freedom of religion is constitutional. But I guess that's being challenged to this day. And I remember that when I was a young man in the 90s, there was always this rumor that they was getting ready for a new constitution. That day is already here. The Constitution is only a figurehead. So and let me put the link. You guys could see and also read more on the article. On that news article there. There it is right there. Because look, guys, let me show you something real quick, right? There we go. Right. When you look at the safest countries in the world, Ireland, New England, right? Iceland, Denmark, Australia, Portugal, Slovenia, Czech Republic, right? A lot of them are European, right? Look at Germany, Norway, a lot of them are Europeans. Finland, where the guy has to stay, the parliament lady who got arrested, that's in Finland. And then in Ireland is the guy who refused to call the kid boy or girl, whatever, by the gender. That was in Ireland. And Finland is what, 14? Safest country? Like you guys are bored? And I think, like I was saying, my theory, the soft times make hard men soft. And the soft times make country soft. And feminine. I don't want to come across as a homophobe because I'm not. I got gay friends, and I'm a Christian. So you could go fly a kite with all that homophobic nonsense. This is something. This is. And I come from New York. It's like gays was always around. It's like I never used to hear of a gay person getting beat up in New York. Homosexuals were out there. So I don't see this vendetta. But this is my theory. And if I got any gay fans listening or anyone who is within that lifestyle, I got a theory, and I want to know if you guys agree with me. Our gay people are so far apart and different from transgender people, they cannot even relate to one another. Because a gay person is someone who is attractive to the same sex, but they are comfortable with being in that sex that they're attractive in. So he's a gay man, and he's comfortable being a gay man. She's a gay woman. She's comfortable being a gay woman. Transgender, or what they call gender dysphoria, we're going to go into that. It's a different. And this is scientifically established in the medical journals for a few years now. This is not the only generation that we dealt with these type of scenarios. And we have to have a conversation. We need to look at an illness as an illness, not a life choice. Because I do believe it's not by choice by them. They feel like a woman trapped in a man's body. I believe they feel that. And I believe their pain should be respected. I believe their pain should be, or their reality should be acknowledged. I believe that you are a woman, although you're biologically a man. I got a phone call. Let's see who's this. I think it's this brother Trent.
Call from
Trent.
To accept, press 1.
Brother Trent, what you got to add to this conversation? How we doing, sir?
What's good, my brother? Yeah, just tuned in since I saw you went live. Yeah, man, it's a really interesting topic. And I was kind of thinking about that and looking at everything that's going on out there in Europe as well. But we also have to remember, so it's two things, right? So one is that United States of America is the offspring of colonial Europe, right? So we are, this country literally is the offspring of Europe. That's one. Two, one of the major elements that set us apart from them was the Constitution that we have here, that they do not have in Europe. So there is no constitution for the European Union. There are individual constitutions for each country. And actually, I think Poland, and there's one other one, which was established back, I believe, in 1789. But outside of that, there really is no constitutional ground basis or booklet for them to have like a Supreme Court justice to judge from. So that's something that's really dangerous, bro.
Right. But let me ask you a question. And I'm showing, while you're talking, the audience a video of Ireland. And I'm going to show you Finland. Very nice country. It looks very peaceful, very safe. I mean, Europe, generally speaking, is a safe country. Right?
Yeah.
Low crime, low poverty. There's death and crime everywhere. But generally speaking, I'm seeing mothers and kids walking around. Not too many Middle Eastern, not too many African Americans or Africans, Latinos, indigenous, a lot of European, but there is safe. It's a safe country. But there's a lot of Europeans. It's to say that there's no Europeans in Europe is like saying there's no Jewish people in Hollywood running it.
Right.
Everywhere. There's a lot of them. But why is is it because they don't have the concept of human rights? Or why is they're arresting people in Ireland and Finland over this?
Well, I think, again, because really Europe really was not established within, Judeo-Christian principles.
Well, how can you say that, though? But how can you say that, though?
Because really,
Christianity was established in Europe. I mean,
Catholicism.
Catholicism,
right?
Yeah, but
that's an extremely distorted version of Christianity.
Listen,
right?
I got it. My jiu-jitsu teacher, Kamai, is Italian, and he is a devout Christian, Catholic. He's a Catholic. Yeah. He's Italian. This is what you do. So what I'm saying is that country and Catholics, regardless of what you think about doctrinally speaking, they will vary about family. Homosexual is a sin. Husband, wife, children. So what I'm saying is, what happened to Europe that now they are arresting Catholics? They're arresting Protestants. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And my theory is, and I want to hear your opinion. We all know the old saying: hard men make hard times easy. Easy times make hard men soft. And I'm going to the crime rate in Europe and the safe and technology and modern and easy living. I think the average hour in works hours in a week is I think it's about 35 hours a week. They're not grinding. So easy time makes hard men soft. And do you think it is a correlation with that? What say you? Maybe I'm a retard. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I hope I'm making sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so. And also what soft time can do is cause nihilism, right? Which, that's something that's really going on right now. Nihilism, basically, which is the whole premise of nothing matters. There is no God. And therefore, when there's no God and nothing matters, and there's no real purpose to live. Viktor Frankl wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. And basically his premise was man has to have a meaning for life, for purpose. Otherwise, if you don't, then life becomes meaningless. Once life becomes meaningless, then there's no causation for effort, especially within the trajectory of anything dealing with morals. So I think that's the really big thing. As we see, that's the same thing that's kind of going on in China as well, where the youth are literally giving up on the Chinese Communist Party to the point to where they're quitting their jobs and they aren't doing anything. They're almost kind of going back to the hippie era of the 70s here in the States. And it's drastically affecting the economy of China. Even yeah, man.
Wow. So if Chinese people said, we're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We ain't gonna take it anymore, and stop working, that could collapse the entire globe. They're the factories of the world.
Yeah. It's a big concern right now, huge concern right now. Even to the point is, they're really trying to omit it within the mainstream media.
Interesting. How that's going to affect us? It's funny because I was planning to do I keep saying lesson because I'm still stuck with GOCC, but I was planning to do a show on do Africans want African Americans to go back to Africa, to come back to Africa? Do Africans want African Americans to come back to Africa? That was, now we all know the Israel, yada, 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 but, we're just having a conversation. And there was a lot of interesting feedback on that. And that's going to be for next show. But when I saw this, and shout out to PJ, wise old man, he sent me some articles. I was like, this is weird. Like, people getting arrested over words. I could maybe understand fired, but this is a criminal now, a crime. I don't want to go to Europe. I don't want anything. I'm scared of Europe or Europeans. I said it. And I want Europeans from Europe to call me. What's going on over there? This is weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same thing. Even with myself, I would even say I would actually have more of an affinity to go to Middle Eastern countries, just for the simple fact, although our religious and spiritual dynamics are different, right? There's still extreme levels of purity and morality, certain lines that you can't cross. See what I'm saying? So
I would say, to be honest, you're right, but I think we got to go back to the middle passage, bro.
You talking about Africa?
Africa, bro. I think we got to go back to Africa.
The scary thing about going back to Africa is that literally somewhere around 75% of the continent of Africa is bankrolled by China. So that's the only thing that's scary.
Well, funny you said that. So this Tuesday coming up, that's gonna be the topic of the show. Because that's what they want you to think. They don't want African Americans to take their money and go back to Africa, their talent, and go back to Africa. So stay tuned for next show. That's going to be next show.
Okay.
People that go to Africa and Trent, we lost you?
No, I'm here.
Okay, I think brother Justin Wood from Florida, he wanted to call in.
Okay. Yeah, I'll hang up and I'll listen in.
Okay. You can call back. Yeah, because I want to answer this. All right. Peace.
Call from
Justin Wood.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice. Oops, your caller just hung up. Goodbye.
Brother Justin Wood, call me back, because I want to hear. Let me see if I can call you back. Can I call you back? How you get my? Oh, here we go. Can I call you back? Oh, there we go.
Call from
Justin Wood.
Peace. If you can mute, I guess the television in the back.
I can hear you.
Okay, so Brother Justin, let's talk to me, man. What's going on in Europe, man?
Okay, I got a couple things to add to this.
Yes.
One thing I think that is missed a lot is wherever English goes and starts to become predominant, we can lose gender balance.
Whoa.
In England.
Hold on. Wait. Stop the press. You said wherever English, the language
The
English?
word, wherever the English language goes, we can lose gender balance because we don't have genderisms in English, like you do in Spanish, like you do in German, like you do in Romanian, like you do in every romantic language. If you have that foundation in your language, it's hard to break genderisms.
I did not know that.
So,
Shots fired.
you know, with English being the Latin tongue from the Latin language, from the Latin, it's very, very ungendered.
So
You have to add adjectives in order to genderize a word.
So English, you know, remember that movie? I forgot the name of the movie. That it was the lady who played Lois Lane in the Superman movie. She was like a scientist, and there was like an alien visitation, and then she learned the language. Do you remember that? And
No, I don't. Her name is Terry Hatcher, but I don't know.
Yeah.
the
What's the name of that movie? You can look that up. It was a name. It was a movie on. She learned the language. She learned to speak to the alien. She was a linguist. So she figured out their language. So she was able to communicate and create an alphabet to communicate with them. And the moral of the story is, I think it's called Arrival, or I forgot. But the moral of the story is that once she learned the language, you're not bound by time once you learn the Arrival. That's the Arrival. Once you learn the language, you're able to not be bound by time, right? And the reason why I'm saying that, because when I saw the movie, I did some background on the movie, on that particular plot. It was a kind of I remember in the movie, that's what I remember. In the movie, I remember that she was saying that when you learn a particular language, it changes your brain cells in the movie. And while you saying that whatever you spread out English, the English language, you eventually going to end up in a place of gender.
Losing your gender.
Losing your gender. That just blew my mind.
Because you can now adjective anything. That's why we have pronouns for everything now. Everybody can have a pronoun however they're feeling that day. They can pronoun it.
Interesting.
The other point that I had to make was on that China point. People don't understand China. And if you want to save it for next show, but China's about to lose half their population. Half their population is almost over the age of 70. China's in like a red decline right now. They don't even know what they're going to do. And that's straight from the source. That I know a woman, one of my best friends, he married a woman straight from Shanghai, and her family's still in Shanghai. That's coming straight from there. Like their economy is going to flip. So yeah, they are in Africa right now trying to save what they can, trying to buy up minerals, because all they bought up was debt for so long.
And you know
now
what?
They're trying to gather minerals.
And you know what they're doing? You know, in China, they do not allow for Chinese television to portray Africa and African in a negative light to not scare China or Chinese to move to Africa. I kid you not.
There's also incentives in China right now for Chinese men to go and marry African women and breed with them.
Interesting.
They will pay you to go to Africa and to breed with China, to start inbreeding into the culture, so that they can start building businesses in the culture.
You know, I gotta give it up to China and Chinese. You know, China's and Chinese, man. we know them as Japhet in the Bible. They're like collectively work together in a weird kind of way. They're almost like ants. Like I gotta. I don't want to offend them. It's almost like a compliment. Like they just do what needs to get done. There's no emotions.
For the greater cause.
They just for the greater cause. They kind of like a collective. They don't have individual thought. They have collective thought. What should we do? Boom, 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 boom. And it's amazing how I gotta commend that, man. I gotta really commend that.
It's a powerful move when you see it.
Yeah,
it's a powerful move for sure. The last thing that I wanted to say is just to kind of connect a lot of this, Europe and China and Africa. Look at who they just traded for Brittany Griner. This man is called the Lord of War for a reason. Yeah. And when he was the Lord of War, he brought war where? To Africa. They're not releasing this man for no reason. They need his connections again. They need him to bring war back to Africa. War is coming back to Africa and they needed it. That man's not Russian. He's Ukrainian. He's from the Ukraine. He's not Russian.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of connections there for you.
Yeah, we got to do a show on that alone. We got to do a show on that alone. Good Lord.
Totally.
Yeah.
Watch the movie Lord of War. There's a scene in it where his brother's like doing cocaine and he's actually doing the outline of Ukraine, the motherland, his homeland. They're Ukrainian.
Interesting.
Why do you think they're in the Ukraine right now? They're hiding things. They're doing all that. They let the Lord of War.
Okay, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist because my juice are flowing right now. And this is a theory, and I want to make a disclaimer that this is not what I believe happened, but what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the basketball player lady, what's her name, Grinder?
She's a man, by the way.
Is she a physical man or?
I've seen photos of her beforehand. I'm almost convinced.
Oh, so she's a man. Wait a minute. She's a man who transgender as a woman?
I think she's a spy. Honestly, if that's just a conspiracy theory on my point of view, but I think she's a spy the whole time.
So you think they set her up to say, okay, we need to let go. So the attention is not her, is the guy.
Look at how weak that just. Do you know they've been parading this guy all over Russia as a hero? I mean, he conquered the West. He went to prison in the West, and he was traded for a transgendered athlete.
Interesting.
Do you know what kind of statement that made in the West? There's an interview that they did in Russia, and Bout is sitting there saying, "Do you know how funny America is? They think their men are women and their women are men."
It's scary. It is scary times, man. It is scary times. Yeah, and folks, get your wolf pack going. Get your family in order. Don't have any weak link around you, because it's like what is next? What is next? And it's funny how it's gotten so bad. Is it? And this is my theory. Is it going to get so bad that we not going to care what religious group you're part of? They're going to come for everybody. And the hill to climb on or to unite all of us, Israelite, Christian, Jewish, Muslims, all people that believe in God, is this transgender thing. It's not even a gay thing, because gays are not really that hot and bothered about who they're comfortable being gay. It's the transgender, like they want the world to acknowledge them as what they want to be acknowledged. It's a demon. It's a mental illness, and we are allowing a mental illness to prosper in a way that people now are afraid to even talk about it. I mean, good Lord, they're more powerful than Jewish people. Think about it. You don't get arrested for saying so-called anti-Semite things. Ye's not getting arrested. But if Ye was in Europe and talking about transgender, he would be arrested. That's more power. And that's and they were trying to pass that law in Canada. And we'll see what happened here in America. It's amazing. It's scary. And see, they are unifying all God believers. They're making it worse for them because it's like, it's not that we don't want to acknowledge their humanity. It's not like we want to kill them or don't allow them to function in society. I believe that we have some rights. But now it's like it's getting overboard to the point that it's like, is all of this a design? I don't know.
It's rulership. They want rulership now.
Yeah. And like I said, they make up conspiracy theorists. Like they create people like Alex Jones. Because it's like you can't wrap your head around it. And it's so much pieces out there, like the piece you dropped today. It's now you got my head spinning, going somewhere a different location. Like maybe
I'll crack you even more. I don't know if you've seen, but just the other day, they just fusion. They found fusion now.
So elaborate, because I'm an idiot. What's Charles fusion?
Fusion, so infinite energy. They have found a way to basically take a glass of water and split atoms in it and make enough to power a house for a year. So basically their problem of fossil fuels and being able to eliminate fossil fuels is literally on the edge. So they're about to unite all kinds of people just under the idea of science. An unlimited energy source sounds familiar, sounds very Nimrodian to me, but an ancient an unlimited energy source that will eliminate fossil fuels and will power cities, but you got to probably live in those cities to get that power, right? So it's we're going to see gas stations start to transfer over. This whole fossil fuel thing is literally at its end, because if they really have discovered fusion, then we have a power source that is we're going to see a technological revolution like we've never seen in our time.
Interesting.
And science will be people's God.
So, I've been meaning to do a lesson. And guys, I'm not misspeaking this time. I'm literally talking about a lesson. I know I said lesson before, but I was then doing a show. But this time I want to do it literally a biblical lesson. Or not a biblical lesson, but a biblical discussion in how I see certain scriptures in regards of the prophecy. And just want to get people's views.
I would love that.
In the Bible.
Definitely do that.
In the Bible, thank you. In the Bible, right? It says that I would take them one from every city and I will put them in the wilderness of the people, right? Like I did when I took them out of Egypt and I gathered them in the wilderness of Egypt. So when I read that, I see that as a separation of two locations, meaning the wilderness of the people is not the same wilderness of Egypt. So when I see that, it looks like we have to start being preppers. Like we have to go into the wilderness or wherever we at within the people. I hope I'm making sense. So the wilderness of the people is a global, it's like a wilderness. Usually a wilderness in the Bible is associated with not modern necessities in modern, living. Because who live in the wilderness, right? Bedouins, usually, right? Shepherds. Do we have to go? Is God trying to tell us that we have to do that? Become shepherds, live close to the ground, right? You could call them preppers. And we have to go into the wilderness of the people because in my mind, where is safe? Okay, so you're telling me Europe and America, they're done, right? Because they got the English language, and according to your theory And your assessment is that wherever you see the English language, they start challenging the
wherever it becomes most predominant.
Okay, right. It becomes they start challenging gender roles and gender identity. So where is safe then? Then Europe and America's out. China is looking to buy Africa, right? Now, me personally, I think we should go what the Bible says, right? When you go into the remnant of Israel, the remnant of the children of the church are going to be left in, and we got places the Bible mentioned: Patmos, Egypt, Cush, places in the Middle East and things of that nature. Also the islands of Greece and in those islands when you go in the book of Isaiah 66. So maybe these are the places we have to start going, because maybe these are the safe places. And one thing that is a reality in those countries, English is not really the first language in those countries. If you look at all the areas where the Bible says where we're going to be gathered from, it's English is not the first language. So maybe maybe you're right. You got to trace where to avoid. But it's scary. You got Asia, and now you sound Asia. And I heard that they are declining as a species or as a race. And they are panicking.
It's almost as if the whole world is declining back more centrally back to Israel, like back to back to Megiddo, back to the Valley of Jehoshaphat.
I see.
He's pulling everybody. The populations are dwindling, and everybody's going to have to start coming closer and closer to Africa because all the minerals are going to be drying up everywhere else.
So Africa is going to be the new place to go to survive, to thrive?
I mean, I don't see how it couldn't be, because we're in America. We can look around and see that America, the land is dying. The trees don't grow the way they used to. The vegetation doesn't grow the way it used to. Its cup is full. There's no doubt in my mind about it. The sin is overflowing in this country, and so the ground is literally dying. So the ground is going to continue to die. The earth is cursed, and it's going to continue to curse itself closer and closer back to the Valley of Jehoshaphat.
Yeah, it is. It is insane, because it's like one of those things that I in a million years, when I was a kid or early 20s, like people getting arrested for saying words. Like, no, it's like you relied on the Constitution. Oh, that's not the Constitution. And you said it so arrogant, like that would never happen here. In America, the Constitution, but now it's like a reality. It could happen, and sometimes you just want to put your head down and work and just wait, and just like mind your business and prepare and plan and so forth, so on. I don't know. It's just scary. It's just Europe. Certain parts are very conservative in Europe, so it's not the entire continent, right? Certain parts of Europe is very conservative. But these little, countries in Europe, it's weird. It's like I just don't understand what's, like in Romania. I think that's what Andrew Tate is in, right? It's very conservative.
Romania, yeah.
Right, but you go to Finland, they're arresting people for the Christian views. It's weird. It's weird how But it's I don't know. But what do you think that's coming from?
Finland's extremely atheist. Finland and Norwegian areas are extremely atheist. So and really always have been. And they're more atheist than they are actually Christian.
So you think that's the problem? It's not the race. It's the culture. Finland is what you would see. What would happen if atheism ran the world, or what?
I think it's what happens when technology rules and monitoring it takes over. When you can turn people into robots and take away their guns, you take away certain things like that. Now, Sweden isn't the same way. They have guns and these things. But when you start taking away these things from people, the way they can protect themselves, and you turn them into fearful robots, the same way Nimrod did, fearful of man and not of the Most High, then you can basically get them to believe whatever you want.
Where do you think that comes from in regards of, okay, is it like a cause and effect, meaning Finland, Ireland, these countries are advanced and safe?
Yeah, I think it's a curse, basically, from the fact that they're turning away from not even believing there is a God. So if you don't have a fear in a God, who else are you going to fear?
Okay,
so,
let me ask you a question. Are there atheist countries outside of Europe?
So.
They got to be, right? China, right?
Oh, outside of Europe?
Yeah, they got to be atheist
you
countries.
Know, yeah, they would probably consider themselves more spiritualist, but in truth and honesty, yeah, they're more atheist than they are actually believing in a fearing God. Now they believe in more spiritually, but they're not. They fear the communist government far more than they do God.
You talking about Chinese?
Yes.
So why do you think Chinese, going back to what you're saying about they just stopping work, they just want to stop to work, or they just fed up? Where do you think that's come from? I mean, is it because this is kind of what this shows that if you cannot work people to death for all generation, they're gonna eventually rebel.
Yes.
So you think that's what it is?
That's definitely part of it, and the other part of it is you see that there's you talked about Europe and there being weak men in Europe. How did there get to be weak men in Europe? That has to be on the backs of slaves somewhere. You don't get weak men without slavery somewhere. That slavery right now is in China.
Interesting. So this is what happened when you going back to my theory that easy times make soft men.
100%.
And in Europe, I think it's a combination of two things: soft times and remove religion. Those two combination, forget about it. That's not good.
Yeah.
So you got to have some form of religion, and I think Finland and these countries are showing when you go to atheists, go to crazy over what I consider is an illness. Gender dysphoria is an image. I mean, it's a mental mental illness. Is it maybe biological, whatever it is? This person was born thinking they're in the wrong body. We should be sensitive towards them. We should respect their pain, but I think what we're doing, we are aiding and abetting mental illness. It's not healthy for us. Mm-hmm. We're not making them strong because like I said, when I was growing up, you have gays. They were tough. They ain't take no crap. Either the drag kings in New York, they'll kick your butt. They'll swing. You understand what I'm saying? So I never view creating this protection is not, and I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird when you go too far to the left and not bring some balance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just weird.
And this is why I'm a firm believer in why your mentality right now that you're trying to teach two brothers is the mentality we have to have in this world. Otherwise, we are sitting ducks as men. We are leaving our families open. If we do not have people we can trust, our wolf pack, our people that we can trust, we are leaving ourselves open as men because there are literally threats everywhere. The only way we can do it is coming back to our power, like you're saying, men going God's way. Sorry, women, we don't need your opinion right now. Men going God's way is the only way we can protect our families going forward from this. Yeah, that's why I support it 100%.
And it's crazy how no one in 1,000 years would have told me 20 years ago that the greatest threat in humanity today will be heterosexual men standing together or standing up for their rights. Like heterosexual, but men run the world. What you mean? It's going to come a time that's going to be a dirty word. That's gonna be a bad word, but we live in those crazy times. But you know what? If man up, we must. Men up, we must do. We just gotta stand up and what is right. And absolutely, brother, absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's all I had to say. I'll let somebody else call in because this is a great conversation tonight. So I will take it off air, and you have a blessed night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And
Shalom.
Shalom. And and being a man is not being a bully. Being a man is not being ultra masculine, tough. It's that's not what I'm saying. Because one thing I've been fighting for a long time within, my community is this overly machismo, thuggish street mentality that needs to be removed from our community, thinking that, that's the way, or that's what's a man supposed to be, a thug. I believe a man's supposed to be a gentleman. I think a man should have several wardrobes in his closet and know how to wear them well. A man should have several suits that fit, tailor, several suits with basic colors, not pink suits, not reddish, a nice black suit. Every man needs a black suit. Every man needs a navy blue suit. Okay? And different variation. And maybe a nice brown suit, that German chocolate brown. Right? I could rock with that. And you can maybe play around with some other colors. But man should rock and knows how to rock a suit. Every man should have a pair of boots. Combat boots. Camping boots. Every man should have camping gear and know how to camp. Know how to sleep in dysfunction and being not in a nice warm 69.5% temperature or 72, whatever, it's your preference. Every man should learn and know how to work out and defend himself, able to lift his own weight, be strong. Every man should have a skill, a particular skill outside, even if you let's say you are a construction worker, shout out to construction worker. Let's say you are a driver, you drive those big trucks. Shout out to brothers who do that too as well. But that's a job. You should have a skill besides your job. Whatever that is. Carpentry, farming, your mechanic, that's a skill. Because mechanics and understanding engines and motors and it's engineers, we need those skills as well. We need men to be men. Because what's going on in Europe, and it's not healthy. It's not, and I want to show you guys a video. I want you guys to listen to this video. I want to show you. And please try not to get triggered, my Christian brothers and sisters. I want you to listen. And I want you to see exactly what you are dealing with in particular. But I got a name for this. And I want you to first see the video. And I think I came up with a term that describes this video. Fair use. This is for educational purposes only.
This is Ari, Gwendolyn, and Brinifer. They are in a polyamorous relationship. and they all parent Hazel and Sparrow.
We have a 2-year-old.
Okay, so real quick, let me just set the. So these are two men biologically. This is a man who had a sex change and now lives as a woman. This is another man who had a sex change and lives as a woman, and this is a female who had a sex change and lives as a male. They all three have 2 kids. I don't know if these kids were adopted or they were given or she birthed them. Well, she will be called he, according to their, if I was in Finland, I would be arrested by calling her a her. I should be calling her a he, according to Finland law.
And they all parent Hazel and Sparrow.
Okay, so this is, I believe, a biological man, now transgender as a woman. This is a biological woman, transgender as a man. And this is a biological man, transgender as a woman. And they all parents, and they got all three, two kids.
We have a 2-year-old intergender baby and a
3-year-old intergender baby. What is that? She's going to explain it. Excuse me, he is going to explain it.
A 10-year-old who is non-binary.
They have chosen
non-binary is going to explain. Now, the question I asked, did these 2 kids, did they came up with these words? Did this child here say, hey, I'm thinking I'm non-binary, or that was promoted within what they watch? What the parents are telling them? Are we witnessing what I will call, with all due respect, gender dysphoria grooming? These are gender dysphoria folks. They have that illness and they're grooming kids to be also like them. And they may be thinking they're doing the right thing. And they may be thinking they're doing nothing wrong. But are they grooming these kids to be confused just because they're confused?
not to disclose Sparrow's gender.
We don't know.
And I respect your ability to exist. I respect your ability to express who you are. But are you translating your views on this child that she doesn't know what she is? If you tell her you a little girl, she's not gonna say anything like, "No, I'm not." Now listen, and let me also say this: the best way to see whether somebody is born with this dysphoria, treat them like a boy if they are born like a boy, or treat them like a girl if they're born like a girl, and they will start feeling uncomfortable, and you could point that out. But if you begin to give a perfectly normal kid this idea of gender neutral, you could be whatever you want, and I understand it comes from a place of fear that you feel that they are somehow, just in case they may be dealing with this gender dysphoria, you don't want them to feel uncomfortable. But maybe are you doing the reverse? Fair use for only educational purpose only.
It's something that Sparrow's going to have to figure out and then tell us.
But their parenting approach is controversial.
I have literally received death threats. Crazy, crazy lady. I hope karma hits you back and your kids grow up to detest you.
And I don't condone any violence towards anybody. It is what it is. If your country, if your city, in this case, your country is getting too liberal for your taste, make sure you vote for the right person in office or get out the country. I don't know what to tell you because I'm a Christian. I'm just waiting for Christ to come and deliver us. But, you know, if you persecute in one city, Christ says go to the next. City could be another city or another country. There's other cities all over the world. So violence is never the way. Violence makes them stronger. It makes us weaker. Those that disagree with this particular situation. Now, I don't know if these are biological kids or they're adopted and things of that nature. That's a different conversation. Should transgender people adopt children? That's a whole different conversation. But we have never experienced this in history as a society. So we need data to see if this could harm people. Let me explain it this way. When the vaccine first came out and it got rushed, it was a new technology. Many people that were not trusting on this new technology and felt, you know what, it is a flu, it's a virus, I will risk it by not taking the vaccine because I don't want to risk getting any side effects because this is a new technology. Because the vaccine is not a vaccine, it's more like a therapy. That's why you have to get boosters. Fine. And it may work for some, it may not work for others. That's not the show tonight. What I'm saying is people have the right to say, I do not want to take this experimental drug in my body. My body, my choice. Because there's no data. And because there is no data, they had the right to say no. And many of them got arrested.
Call from
Trent.
So, Brother Trent, I want to hear your thoughts, but let me finish my thought if you don't mind.
Yep.
So, we don't have no data. What is the long-lasting result of children being raised by transgender parents? I'm not saying that they should do it. It should be illegal or legal or legal or illegal. I'm just saying we don't know the data. So I reserve my support of this because I do not know the long-lasting results on damaging children. I could be biased because I am a Christian, so I want to be fair. What say you, Brother Trent?
Yeah, well, whenever like the triggering mechanism can happen, but in all honesty, we have to remember what Christ said, be in the world, but not of the world. So I constantly have to kind of reverberate and go back to what would Christ do if he were living right now, walking the earth? Like, we understand that Christ walked the earth during the height of the Roman Empire. He wasn't infused within law, litigation. That wasn't his thing. He was sent to the lost tribes of the house of Israel, right? That was it.
Yeah.
So he dealt with it. He dealt with those that were within the construct morally of the mission that he was supposed to do. And he wasn't out there trying to proliferate the government. That wasn't his thing, man.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with I'm actually entirely okay with it because this world right now, be in the world but not of the world. This world is not an higher world. Yeah, it's not a most high almighty world.
To be honest with you, man, you kind of right. I really don't have a problem with them doing this.
Nah,
I just have a problem with them wanting me to do this. That's the fear. Like they want me, as long as it doesn't affect me. And that's the danger. It's like you see what's going on in Europe. You get what I'm saying? And maybe I'm a male machismo, paranoid, heterosexual. They're coming to get my sex, my heterosexuality. Maybe I'm a dumb hick. I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. How would it affect you? How would it affect you? You don't have any little small children that are in, elementary school, right? Yeah. It's not really going to affect you and your family. Your daughter's grown. You're married, beautiful marriage, righteous marriage. Like, how is it really affecting you?
All right, that's a good question, right? And that you're right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm questioning myself on this trigger thing. Yeah, you're right. Maybe we have to worry about doing good and not worry about what we feel is evil or bad and stopping that, but you're spreading good.
Yeah.
Because you can't stop it
man.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
You'll go crazy.
Nah. Why would you? You know, I mean, the world to come was made for a few. This world was made for many.
Yeah. You're right, man. You know what? You're right. I think you're right, because it's like it's only gonna, trigger you but is it me? Although you're saying you're right, and I'm agreeing with you, I gotta be honest with you. In the back of my mind, that article that PJ sent me, it still bothers me a little bit. I don't know why.
What is it that bothers you? What about it?
It's because like, is that what's coming here? I mean, this is not like, we all saw what happened with Peterson, right? I mean, the Canadian teacher, philosopher now, he's famous and big. That's probably the best thing that happened to him, actually. But the guy lost his tenure being a professor because he chose to go by this pronoun thing. I don't know. I don't see a scenario where, well, I do see it. It could be at work. It could be, I don't know. I don't know. I am a little concerned. I don't know why. It somehow is going to come for me.
Well, so that's a place of fear, right?
Yeah.
So a guy that I check out, buddy of mine. If the listeners, they should listen in, because this guy really, he's really onto something very clever. Andrew Henderson, he has his YouTube channel is called The Nomad Capitalist. And about 10 years, no, I think it's been more than that. I think maybe about 15, 16 years ago, he started to travel abroad. And he has well over 20 passports worldwide, man. Caucasian guy, very, very astute, sounds very smart, educated guy. And he says his motto is go where you're treated best. And he got that motto from his dad, and he was about age 12. And he remember his dad just said, hey, son, we don't know where the United States will be in 15, 20 years, just go where you're treated best. And that motto really stuck with him. And that's exactly what he does. So I think that's really what it is. So that's we could kind of correlate, be in the world, but not of the world.
Yeah.
Go where we don't have to deal with this madness, man.
Don't get
there
attacked.
There are 195 countries in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
Trust me. There's a lot that's not dealing with, the ideology that we disagree with.
Right. Right. And I think there's an old saying that says, do not get attached to anything or anyone that you cannot leave behind flat, in seconds. Don't ever get attached to anything, a job, a person, an idea, a career,
right.
If you're not prepared to walk away in moments' notice. And that always stuck with me. That was actually in a movie called Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Yeah.
One of the best cop and robber movies. And that was a statement that was said in that movie. And that stuck with me. Like, don't ever get attached, to anything. And the scene was that Robert De Niro went to Val Kilmer, his partner, house, and he was always fighting with his wife. And as a bank robber, that was a policy. You can't get attached to anything because you're always on the run. You're always on the move. You have another hit to hit. And Val Kilmer respond to, De Niro was, she's the sun that rises in the morning for me. So I'm not leaving her. She's not, I live for her. I cannot walk away in moments' notice. And he told her. That was powerful.
Achilles heel.
Yeah. Right?
Achilles heel. Yeah.
And everybody has one.
Yep.
Just make sure that is worth it. I don't know the answer. I don't even want to give an opinion or an advice, because I'll be a hypocrite if I walk away from everybody and anything if you have to. I think I will if I have to, because I'm a bit of a jerk. But I'm also a big teddy bear too. So it's I don't know. It's a hard.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, because you have a righteous family and they're rocking with you. You know, you are the epitome of, as for me in my house, we shall serve the Lord. So, you know, I mean, what happens, man, I'll tell you, and I've been struggling with these same, you know, dynamics also. What's going on, man, is we're just being inundated by social media, YouTube, everything, the media, the mainstream media, TikTok, whatever it is that you're on. Even if you are sparse with how you view these things, every time you go on, man, there's something that's going to broach or catch your attention. That's really what it is. It's just inundation all around us, man. Real talk. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's also, I mean, it's like on steroids what happened with during Adam and Eve's time, and there was a separation with Adam and Eve's righteous children versus Cain's children, and the entertainment and the music and the drums that were being played, you know, below the mountain that the righteous were living on. Man, it's like it's on steroids.
Yeah. So it's you got to be a pilgrim, and mentally you got to be. And I think a lot of it, you're right. I think it's like, okay, don't attach yourself to anything that it's gonna be an Achilles heel, and that could be several things for different people, right? And be of this world, but not get attached. Don't fall in love with a country, a homeland, right?
Right.
A language, a way of life, right? And that's why I think camping is so. Being around nature as a man, it's this some spiritual thing goes on mentally. I don't know what it is. I can't describe it. You can't, that
you
feeling,
feel one with the elements, right?
Yeah,
you feel one with creation.
Yeah, you can't duplicate that feeling. There's nothing else that you could experience in your life that will duplicate that feeling in the wilderness. Just like smelling nature and being, it's something else, man. It's like it brings you back to your primitive state, to some degree, and just you know, and the word primitive sometimes people misunderstand because it's the etymology of the word primitive. I think it's the word prime.
Right. It just means first.
Right. First state.
Exactly. Primary.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But it's just and you're right. It's funny because I was getting ready to do a show about, you know, do Africa, want African Americans to go back to Africa or not. And the videos that I have, you know, a lot of them are gonna be they may trigger some people, it may inspire some people. And one thing I realized that when you hear certain things like, you know, Chinese people don't like this, white people don't like that, black people don't like this, that's no longer true because there's like eons or subsections within every group. We're not such united or monolith as we think we are, or Chinese people or white people or Arabic people. Right? And we see this, you and I talk about this all the time when sometimes we talk about these, you could walk anywhere, or you could just say Iran, you know, Russia walk tour or whatever. And there's some guy has some podcast channel or YouTube channel say, hey, I'm in Ukraine, I'm here, I'm in Russia, I'm in Africa. And you're like, wow, people are like just people everywhere they go, right? And it's like the stereotype. Every single time I watch these type of, you know, tours, I mean, you show me the young lady that does she travels as well. I forgot the name of the show you was mentioned, and how she's in areas that if you would have told me if a sister would have been, and she's a good looking sister walking in Afghanistan, that she would be raped and killed.
Right.
But she was just her in a little camera by herself, and she probably had a friend with her or something. Who knows? You know, but
she went by herself.
Yeah.
Went by herself. Met with the Taliban. Taliban actually even gave her a security guard. She didn't want it. But they said, well, we'll give it to you because we want you to know, we want America to see that we are not, these vile creatures that we are propagandized as on your media. They treated her with the utmost respect.
So is it a thing that, wow, let me ask you a question. And I want the audience to maybe chime in on this one. The same way as African Americans are negatively stereotyped in America, do other racial groups are going to the same exact thing? Like, yo, you negatively stereotyping me. I'm a Taliban. I'm a terrorist. I'm like Akbar, or Chinese people, we this way, or you get what I'm saying? Is we in America are being propagandized to believe that people from other races are a certain kind of way or certain countries to keep us here in this cave.
Ding, 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 ding. You got it, brother. Yep.
Wow.
And even for the listeners, go check out Mary Jane Byarm. Her last name is spelled B-Y-A-R-M. A sister from New York, 26 years of age, has been traveling for about 5-6 years. She's been to 117 countries by herself, my guy. And the last place check this out. She's in Ukraine right now, proving a point. No bombs, no issues. People are walking around. She went into a Gucci store in Ukraine, my guy, 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah. You told me that.
No issues. Yeah, and she was in Afghanistan 3 days before that for 3 days. No issues. People act like she was a celebrity, wanted to take pictures with her and touch her black hair because Afghanis had never, had come face to face with the Israelite sister. It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in my life, bro.
Yeah, yeah. And we take for granted certain things here in America as if it's seen everywhere in the world. Like a black woman walking around by herself. A Cuban, you get what I'm saying? Like, we think like, oh yeah, everybody sees that. No, some people are like, it's like eating ice cream for the first time. I bet you there's certain people in the world today, not in America, but maybe in America, I don't know, never ate ice cream. Don't know how to taste like.
Right.
Don't know, never drove a car. We take so much stuff for granted here in this country, man.
Yeah, we do. And so that's what I really think the answer is. So I think it's two things. Let's maintain, our morals and principles within the law, statutes, and commandments of our history book that we have in our possession. You know what I mean? Like, let's do that. And then also, let's also take advantage of the education, that we were able to learn here in the daughter of Babylon. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, that's a super win, my guy. Why do you think Paul was so effective? You know what I mean? He had educational prowess in Rome, as well as he had the litigation background from being pharisaical, right? As well as Christ met him on the road to Damascus and gave him that spirit. You feel me? Triple threat, my guy. Triple threat. Triple threat, man.
Let me ask you a
question.
question.
It's like, utilize it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that we complain here, and I'm specifically dealing with people of color in America, how bad we have it. And I'm not dismissing racism and prejudice, and that happens and should not happen, right? But we are also, and I'm talking about the people of color in America, black and brown people, we have become too soft. Because our hard time is really soft time for others. So it's like we're hard time, but not that hard. It's not hard enough to make us go over the top.
Right. Listen, we're not serving the Most High God. We're not serving the Most High God unto blood. You feel me?
Right. No, but
like it says in the scriptures,
we got comfortable in our captivity.
1,000%. Even myself, like I tell you, one thing with me, like, bro, I'm not even as committed and have that certain level of discipline that I had when I was an athlete in high school. And I'm a 43-year-old aged man with a plethora of information, wisdom, and insight and knowledge now. You see what I'm saying? And so what's happening over the years, man, you're right. That's exactly what happens. You get comfortable, man. And once you get comfortable, you lose discipline.
And you know what the biggest thing when you get older you regret? For me, as a 50-year-old man.
What you didn't do?
Wasting your youth. If I had the youth with this brain that I have right now, with this knowledge, this experience, oh my God. It sucks getting old. That's why we have to set a path for the next generation, man. Because it's the youth. We just got to guide them in the right place. We just got to guide them in the right place, man.
And I would say the best way of doing that is by example.
Yeah.
Like if you do it within yourself, because sometimes, and this could adversely affect me too. Sometimes I'm so enthralled by like, oh, I got to help the youth, or I have to be, I have to be a mentor to the youth. When it's like, well, I'm still struggling with some basic things, just like consistency, right, in my own life. And so I've been starting to think more deeper on these things. I'm like, wait a minute. Just stay disciplined in the things that you're doing, and these things will shed light. And that is how the youth learn anyway, is by watching.
Yeah.
I always have, I could be very wordy, right? And that's one thing, like, yeah, that's a gift that, that the Most High has befitted me or whatnot, or bestowed upon me. And that's cool. But sometimes I could talk more than, my actions are, right? So I'm like, you know what? I need to really start taking way more actions and really become addicted to being actionary within, the verbalizing that I'm emitting rhetorically. You dig?
Yeah, but the problem with that, yeah, and I agree with you. Yes, I believe laziness is a low level of depression.
It's definitely a byproduct.
A byproduct of it, but I think also part of the problem is that even if we have an idea, shout out to brother Justin. He called earlier. He mentioned about men going God's way. I'm going to be sending. I was preparing the questionnaire early today. I'm going to be sending the Blatt's email tomorrow. I just want to prepare it. So if those that send me an email to be in the meeting, tomorrow's email is to confirm the time. It's going to be next week. And then I need for people to get back to me so that I could know what's the best time. I'm going to give people choices. And I could get the best date, so I could get the best time for the meeting. And, men going God's way, preparing them, and yada, 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 right? But this is what I think should be done, but there's really no playbook. And I think part of the problem is that we don't have a playbook, and we don't have no leaders playing that playbook correctly.
We do have a playbook. Christ says, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Yes. Listen, we got the bare basics. We got the bare basics. And what I'm saying is that I don't think we should just lay down and wait. I think we got to act. We got to do. I think part of the whole Christian theology of Jesus is going to come save me it's been an excuse. Although it may be true, Christ is going to come save us. The devil has used us to keep us simplistic in our circumstance and not do that work. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, man, I think, Brother Justin mentioned earlier, it's like, Europe, Finland, and Ireland is an example. What happened when because these countries are particular atheists. There's religious still freedom, but they're more atheist thinking. And this is what happens when you kind of, because, I could see that the only way, if, you ever see those futuristic movies. Everybody's dressing the same, and everybody's all dealing with logic and no emotions and what's best for the, and there's always a couple that falls in love, or some guy wakes up, or there's always
you're not even at that time. You're not even supposed to have actual literal, consummation or sex. Like everything is done.
The Hunger Games or some crazy weird kind of scenario. And you think that those days are like, okay, that's sci-fi, that's all fantasy, but I don't know. I mean, I maybe I'm a product of the 80s and 90s, the Alex Jones conspiracy, William Cook, guy, what's his name? David Icke, I don't know. Maybe I think that day is a reality. I could objectively look at it and say, yeah, that could happen. And maybe 100%. not everywhere in the world. I don't think it could happen globally.
No, just in the smart cities. So, I'm a firm believer that the smart cities are, kind of like the Hunger Games, right? It's the same thing. In the Hunger Games, they had this magnanimous, smart city where everyone was able to eat hors d'oeuvres and have colorful clothing and were extremely wealthy, right? Okay. And then you had the, what did they call them? The something 12s, like had one, they basically had units in sparse cities.
They had cities, units. I forgot what they call them. In the Hunger Games. Anybody saw the Hunger
districts.
Games? Districts.
District 1, 2 through 12, right? And
district.
So I think that's what it's going to be like. So I think it's going to be like the Book of Eli for those who. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk real quick because there's an ambulance going to go by. It's going to be really loud.
Okay. So maybe that's what God was saying, that go into the wilderness of the people, that we cannot be in these major cities. And I believe there is a war in Europe. And I think they're trying to remove the last stand of like morality or Christian morality in Europe. And I think Russia is like the last one to stand, because the whole thing that's happening over there in Ukraine and Russia is Russia do not want Western European culture in Russia.
Influence.
They are willing to go to war for that. And you know what? I gotta respect them for that. I gotta, I'm not a fan of Russia or not a fan. I'm objectively looking at them and say, you know what? They're standing for what is right.
Exactly. And so I also say too, I think like the whole, one part of my custom prayer that I have, right, that I say every morning, specifically customized for myself and my struggles or whatever the case may be. And that is, one part in there is, Lord, help me to accept the fate of those who deny you. It's a huge part, because I think that's really, when you have this walk and you have this faith and you understand even the struggles, what does it say in the scriptures? The righteous shall scarcely be saved.
Yeah.
So that, you know what I mean? Like, that's the elect, my dude. You know what I mean? So I'm just throwing that out there. And then also you might want to mention Morals and Dogma by
that was a good one.
That seems like that's kind of coming about too. Another ambulance is coming up, so I'm gonna mute it again, but
dogs
want to say that again.
I remember also reading 1984. That was another one. Now granted, I was a kid, in 1984. Then when I remember either reading the book or being talked about the book or reading something about the book or a documentary about the book when I first heard about the book. And the book was that it was written in 1967 or maybe earlier. Anybody, when did the book 1984 was written or produced or put together? Anybody could find that for me? I appreciate it. And the concept of 1984 was that in whatever the time that this book was written, it was a prediction in how we're going to live in 1984. Now, I have a lot of stuff in the 1984 book, which was going down in the
1949.
1949.
it was written.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
1949. But I
35
remember.
years. 35 years
Yeah.
in advance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, he was definitely off some few decades. You know, he's probably off maybe. If Christ doesn't get here within the next 5-10 years, how much time do you think we have until we are literally living in 1984?
I think, okay, that's an extremely good question. I do a lot of research on this. So here's another thing that people kind of fail to realize. People think like the end of the world, like, you know, Mark of the Beast and everything, once that's instituted and it's on the scene, like Christ is going to be here the following year. Nah. I actually see it being where there literally will be an expanse of time where people will be living in, those who decide to partake of the Mark of the Beast will be living in these smart cities, which I believe, like even what Elon Musk is doing with all of his companies, right? I believe like Neuralink and everything. I really truly believe that people will have an influx of technological ingenuity right there within their brain, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be able to just think about something versus taking out the time to utilize their thumbs to input something in their smartphone. This is something that Elon Musk speaks about, as well as Ray Kurzweil. These are all these futuristic individuals, right? Mm-hmm. So I believe like there could easily be 10 years. Here's the thing I think will come first.
So in 1984, right? Mm-hmm. I remember, and people could help me out here, that kids were reporting, they're going to set up a system, the kids, it will be a system, and everybody, big brothers everywhere, and everybody is a big brother.
Tattling on each other. And anybody works away on the system. That was a big thing in that book, 1984. What else do you remember? Did you read the book in 1984? Did you looked, you know, outside of that, I know technology was a thing. Yeah.
And I remember also controlling who can have
hours of work, what type of work that you did do.
It's like they will pre-program, like they would assess your ability. It was more like eugenics, right?
They would categorize you based off of your DNA of what types of jobs were more befitting for you, as well as to the government.
Right. And I think you could only have like 2 children or something. I remember it was, I got to get myself familiarized with it, but I remember it was like a scary in prison type of scenario. The good thing, high technology, low crime scenario, but like and
no disease either.
No disease, right. So, and we have seen those type of movies, you know, the system controlling the masses kind of situation, no expression or no freedom of being different. Usually these futuristic movies, religion is a thing in the past. They belittle religion. It's like we would deal with ancient superstitions, thinking we would advance. You know, they always trash the Bible, and I always get triggered when I hear that, or I'm like, you know, that's why I think there's a God gene, man. I think there's something wrong with us in regards, not wrong. We're different. I think atheists and Bible believers are different. We wire different. I don't think we wire the same because, and they've done studies on this, that people, they have studied the brain waves of religious folks when they hear religious seance or statements, that the light brights up in the brain. A certain part of the brain lights up. With atheists, you can hear it, a prayer, or whatever, no light. So I believe that there's, and I think we have to know that. I think we have to understand that some people are spirit, and not everyone that their brain lights up when they hear a religious statement is going to be safe when Christ get here. My personal opinion. Well, I would think so. And I think the Bible backs me up. And not everyone that their brain lights up when they hear a biblical text is a good person.
Right. Well, because it's all about what you do. Don't forget what the scripture says. You know, a righteous man, if he turns wicked, right, over there in Isaiah, a righteous man, if he moves away from his righteousness and starts to, you know, exhibit wickedness, then his righteousness is no longer in remembrance. So that's where we have to remember, because sometimes I could kind of get lost in that, like, oh, well, my intentions are good. I feel bad when I sin. Hey, man, that ain't enough, bruh. That's not enough. You know what I mean? When that hour comes, you better be right. You better be right, because if not, you're going to be on the wrong side of judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same thing with a wicked man. A wicked man could be wicked, but if he ends his wickedness and turns righteousness, his wickedness is forgotten. It's no longer remembered.
Yeah.
Intentions don't get you into the kingdom. Action does.
Action does.
Just because you feel bad and your conscience might be a little greater than the man to the right or to the left of you, if you ain't doing nothing with that, if you don't do nothing with it, you as good as dead. Yeah. I like one thing that someone said, the man that does not read is no better off than the man that can't read. That's the same thing with righteousness and wickedness, bro. Yeah. You know, the man with wisdom or knowledge but don't do it is no better off than the wicked man that don't know nothing about righteousness.
You're in it's the same boat. Different path, same destination. Absolutely, man. Any last words? I want to end the show. I think I got triggered.
Oh, no, brother, you did it. Hey, man, you doing, I know, man, you're doing your thing, man. Just try to tone down on the triggering a little bit, you know what I mean? Be that righteous man that you know that you are, everyone that knows that you are. You know, don't allow for yourself to be inundated. You know the scriptures. You're an absolute historian. You have, you know, great, beautiful minds and friends and things that, you know, you can have these discussions with. Wise old man. Got to give a shout out to PJ. That brother is intrinsically sound when it comes to scriptures and even, you know, secular writings or whatever. So, you know, you got your wolf pack already, man.
Yeah.
You got your wolf pack already.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, you know, I want to just, you know, want to continue having these conversations. And sometimes, you know, I'm getting a high right now. I feel, because it's like, this is what reps me up and inspire me. Like, you know, every time I want to do a show, I'm a little, I won't say nervous, a little anxious to make sure it goes well. And, you know, only someone who does a podcast will understand what I'm saying. You know, you got to do it for you to understand what I'm saying. Those, I'm pretty sure, brother New Breed, you know, I pray he can relate what I'm saying. Brother Black Honor Movement, shout out to him, that brother. I'm pretty sure he understands what I'm saying. And others. It's like, you want to have a good show. And it's always like, well, you're anxious to make sure you have a good show, or and things of that nature. But these type of shows inspire me, and that's what it's the rush. That's the rush. And there's another rush, inspiring others. That's a rush too. That's a good feeling when you know you inspire others. You know, that should be an addiction that everybody should have. Be inspired and inspire others, and get used to or get addicted to that feeling. That's a good addiction.
I agree.
Have, you know. All right, brother, man. How's everything over there in Cali? Everything is good? Any weird things we should know about, or everything is copacetic?
No, man, everything's copacetic, together, good, feeling great, man. You know, just day by day. Yeah, man, everything is good. Appreciate you for asking. Glad I was able to have a little break here, you know what I mean, listening to you. I was hitting you earlier, didn't realize you were live. You told me, I was like, listening in, able to call in. Yeah, man, everything is A1, no complaints.
All right, man. So shout out Brother Trent. Thank you for calling. That's Brother Trent.
All right, my brother.
Peace. Yeah, man. Yeah, so I don't know. It's and I'm pretty sure those jails in Finland are probably like the cleanest, nicest jail ever. Right? So I'm pretty sure he's not suffering, you know, who knows, you know, right? But he should not be jailed for that. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, come on. It's just you're you know, transgender folks, I mean, listen, I sympathize with your pain and your existence, but you know, every great society was established by a heterosexual family system. You got to respect that because your survival depends on it. And we're going to start challenging the family, the nuclear family, as a thing that is not something that is necessary or is needed or need to be respected. All the data shows that once you remove that nuclear family out of a society, it collapses. So all I'm asking for folks that are in Finland or in Ireland, and all this is going on, is just reconsider. Just have a conversation with yourselves. Say, are we going too far? You know, by treating transgender people and loving themselves, although they feel they were not born in the same or the right body, and being strong enough to go through that and helping them without taking people to jail who may disagree with that. And I think we should focus on making transgender people strong enough that if somebody understands or believes in a religion and may be offended or does not want to call them by the proper pronoun, both sides have to come up to some conclusion of respect. But if one side is sending the other side to jail, we ain't going to come to no resolution. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Listen, I'm a Christian, but let's just say hypothetically there's someone at work or someone in some business environment and they are a transgender person. I'll work with them. If they want me to call them by a proper pronoun, I'm a gentleman. But if you pass a law that if someone refused to say, because of my religious views, you was born a man, so I want to refer to you as a him, that person, just work it out with the company. Maybe transfer them to a different location, have sensitivity classes to one another to try to respect one another's, just talking, have conversation. Suspension, firing, jail time, either side is not healthy. I would never support a law of arresting gays or homosexuals for not being for being gay or homosexual. And I'm saying that as a Christian. It doesn't make any sense in society. We don't have the budget to police that. They're not hurting anybody. I, as a Christian, will be against a law to arrest homosexuals. There should also be a law. There should not be a law of arresting people that do because of their religious believes that a man should be called by the gender he was born with. Or female. Arresting people is not going to fix the problem. You're only going to divide. But maybe that's what they want. And you know what? Who am I as a Christian to say any different? Because didn't Christ says, I didn't come to bring peace to the earth. I came to bring a sword. I came to divide a son-in-law against his father-in-law, a mother-in-law against his daughter-in-law. And those of your very household will be your greatest foes. Maybe this kumbaya feeling I have of being peace, although the Bible says, blessed be the peacemakers. Christ didn't came to bring peace. So I guess I just got to pick a side. Have you pick a side. Peace and blessings. Shalom.